We're talking about principles and skills necessary to have successful cross-sector collaborations. This is segment 2. We've talked about in segment 1, building teams. Now in segment 2, we're going to talk about key components to solving problems, which is the very purpose that cross-sector collaborations come together. And the first element in the solving problems is understanding the impact on people. You know, as I shared earlier, I'm engaged in housing, economic development, jobs, health, nutrition, education. All of these elements are impacting or have challenges within our communities. And as the leader of a cross-sector collaboration, it is important that you first understand the impact on the people. Understand what are the current impacts that have led to this cross-sector collaboration even needing to be formed. Where are the critical issues that are impacting the population? And then taking a systems approach in determining how you're going to move forward to address these impacts. You know, there are numerous impacts that face our communities, our cities, and our country. One cross-sector collaboration cannot address them all. So it's going to be important to really understand what are the impacts that you want to have in determining first whether this cross-sector collaboration is successful and what are the outcomes that you want to have for the populations that you're impacting. So understanding impact on people is essential. And to do that, you've got to have some of those people who are being impacted at the table. It is so important to have the voices of those who are impacted by the challenges at the table so they're actively engaged in the conversation and in the solutions that arise from the conversation. The other aspect of it is taking a systems approach and looking at what are the systems that have created the circumstances for which you're trying to adjust or achieve a positive or a different outcome. Really identifying what are the key components of those systems. Who are the important partners that you need to have at the table so that when you're talking about taking a systems approach, if it means adjusting some systems that are already in place, that they're at the table and they can lend their voice into talking and sharing what that would be like. The second is looking at new systems. Sometimes cross-sector collaborations have an opportunity to create something new, and that you have to think, what will this system be and what are the outcomes of the system and what may be some of the unintended consequences of the systems. You know, we have many systems in this country. We have the education system, the public education system, and in so many of our communities, it really is not producing the kinds of outcomes that we would desire for the majority of our students. We have the healthcare systems, and we have the criminal justice systems. There are numerous systems that impact all of our communities. I think it's important for you to understand, identify what those systems are, and look at how you can modify those systems or create new systems to be able to achieve impact. And the third is defining the results using data. When you define this is what success looks like for all of us, then you can use data to determine where you are now and look at the incremental adjustments or improvements through using data to substantiate the work of the partnership. That's how you know whether you're being successful or whether there needs to be some tweaking or room for adjustments. So using that data is so important, and having partners who can provide that data is so important to being able to determine your success as a cross-sector collaboration. So we talked about understanding the impact on people and taking a systems approach. We've talked about defining your results and using data. All of these three are key elements for problem solving. So in this series, we started with building teams. Now we've just talked about problem solving. And in our third and final segment, we'll talk about achieving impact.